Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. And welcome in, Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans, into, what was supposed to be last week's edition of Scholasticks, but it's this week's edition of Scholasticks. On your home for Winnipeg High School Hockey League hockey content on gshow Productions on gshow.ca. Thank you so much for joining myself here on this Monday afternoon. One of the reasons why we ended up postponing, episode 4 up until this week was not only are we busy just getting our programming in, setting up our live streams for this month on our Uscreen service, that's where you're going to be able to see Winnipeg High School Hockey League games this year, as we, of course, have partnered with the Winnipeg High School Hockey League to run games on our Uscreen pay-per-view service. We're going to get into that today in terms of what games we'll be covering this month, because guess what, Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans, the divisions are set, the schedules have been released, at least for the first half of the season, and I can't wait to get into it all. We've seen some teams rise up divisions, some teams standing pat, remaining where they were last season, heading into this season in their given divisions, as well as teams that have dropped down a division or two. We're going to get into that, as well as what the October schedules look like for all 3 divisions in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, and then we'll get into the games that we're going to be covering on our network. We also have a notable game that we want to show the score of in terms of the College Jean Sauvé Olympians, who took on the Steinbach Regional Sabres in the Morris Mavericks preseason tournament. Lots to get into. Can't wait to get into all of it on this edition of Scholastics on this Monday afternoon. And by the way, Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans, we're also going to have an episode on Friday where we'll be able to showcase some highlights from the first couple games that we're going to be doing. And this week, heading into what should be a great Thanksgiving weekend this year. But without further ado, we're going to throw to a promo screen quickly, and then we'll be back to talk about the divisions here on Scholastics. Alright, let's get into it, and just had some ginger ale. My stomach hasn't been the greatest, another reason why we've postponed the episode up until now. A lot of factors working against myself, but hey, happy to finally get this one out. We start off with talking about the Platinum Promotions division, as there's going to be 13 teams included this season in this div. The teams that have gone up a division, Miles Mac, Shaftesbury, College Bellevue, College Jean Sauvé, and Garden City as well, all moving up divisions. The teams that end up, of course, remaining in the Platinum Promotions division, the defending champion Vincent Massey Trojans, as well as the River East Kodiaks, the Oak Park Raiders, as well as the Sturgeon Heights Huskies, St. Paul's Crusaders, the Westwood Warriors, as well as the Lord Selkirk Royals and Steinbach Regional Sabres. Yeah, just taking a look at, of course, Vincent Massey. Looks like they'll have a strong team heading in. Ryan Gruner of River East, he's pretty pumped about what they have going in that program. He feels like they could be a top 5 team again in that division. Sturgeon Heights, they've been really strong during the preseason so far. This was a team last season that, of course, lasted 5 games in the postseason, as well as St. Paul's, who lasted 5 games as well. The Westwood Warriors, coming in as the finalists from last season, should be another solid program for them. And then for teams in Steinbach and Lord Selkirk, 2 teams last season that, well, for Lord Selkirk, they made it to the next round, made it past the first round, but went out in the second round of the postseason. And then, of course, for Steinbach, ended up losing in 3 games in their first round series. As for the newcomers coming in, Garden City, the Gophers, they ended up finishing first place in the Winnipeg Free Press division last season. Lost in the Final Four, as well as the College Belleville Barracudas, but both of those teams were top 4 teams in the standings for College Jean Sauvé. They were a top 3 team last season in the Winnipeg Free Press div. And then, of course, the Shaftesbury Titans, a team that got hot when it mattered the most and ended up going on to win a championship. As for Miles Mack, a team from the Winnipeg Free Press division, of course, as already mentioned from last season. This one, I'm not totally familiar with their roster, but I know last season for Miles Mack, when we take a look at it, they, in the playoffs, as we take a look here, a team that ended up going out in the first round. I don't believe they were near the top of the standings, more of a middle of the pack team last year in the Winnipeg Free Press division, but like many fans know of this league, it could change on a year-to-year basis, right? And divisions aren't always going to remain the same. And for Miles Mack, they must have quite a bit of talent coming back to this year's squad. From what I've heard, they got some good experience on this year's squad, as well as, bringing in some good talented newcomers, and that's enough to push them up, to bump them up a division this year, heading in to the 2025-2026 Winnipeg High School Hockey League season. As for the Winnipeg Free Press division, this division, probably, you could argue, seeing some of the most turnover. I'd say, yes, the most turnover in terms of teams from the Platinum Promotions division, moving down, of course, to the Winnipeg Free Press division, which is the second division in this high school hockey league. But for the teams that are going to remain the same, the Leo Remillard Renards, they remain in this division. A strong finals run for them last year when they were about the 8th ranked team heading into the postseason. Other teams from the division last year that remain, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, CPET, College Gabriel Roy, the St. John's Ravenscourt Eagles also remain in this div, along with the Calvin Clippers and the Sanford Collegiate Sabres. For the teams that have moved up, the Churchill Bulldogs, as well as last year's Price Division champions in the Louis Riel Voyageurs. Robert Lafreniere was very adamant about his team moving up a division, as he kind of broke that news when I ended up having him on for an interview in the second episode of this podcast. But as for the Voyageurs, a team that, as me and Coach Lafreniere talked about, going to have more natural defensemen to choose from this season, and a team that had no troubles putting up offense last year with a lot of returnees too. Look out for them this season. Should be an interesting one for them. in the Winnipeg Free Press division. As for the Churchill Bulldogs, they were, of course, as mentioned, in the Price division last year, and a nice bump from them, as we'll get into the teams from the A division in a moment last year. But for the Churchill Bulldogs, just looking at their postseason run, because unfortunately they don't have, I can't find the regular season stats anywhere right now, but yeah, Churchill went out in a first round exit, but for them this season, I mean, being able to move up a division must mean they have a nice crop of players coming in, and of course the players from last season that they got returning going to be a year older. So yeah, Churchill getting a bump up in the division rankings, or in the division layouts, as I should say. As for the Dakota Lancers, the J.H. Burns Broncos, the Springfield Collegiate Sabres, and the Stonewall Rams, they've all moved down a division. Dakota, they've been a team that for most of my lifetime that I've been able to check out in Winnipeg High School Hockey League, they've usually been an A division team, but there's been some years where they've gone down to B division. Expecting for Dakota to still be, of course, competitive in the B division should make things a bit easier for this program, being that they're able to move down a div. And yeah, for Dakota, a program that have seen some finals appearance in their past too, most notably back in 2019 when they lost to St. Paul's back in the Platinum Promotions Division Finals. The J.H. Bruns Broncos, this is another team that kind of goes, from what I've seen, back and forth between A and B, a school that has a lot of good talent within it. And I mean, if you're able to play in the top two divisions, that's saying a lot about your program. And for the Broncos, they may move down a spot, but not as far down as, you know, you could have gone to see. This should be a pretty fun team to watch this year. As mentioned, J.H. Bruns usually does have quite a bit of talent. For the Springfield Sabres and the Stonewall Rams, two teams that, of course, from rural Manitoba areas outside of the city, teams that, you know, wouldn't be surprised if we see a physical side from both of these teams this year stand out when we see them play both teams that should still be pretty skilled, even though they moved down a few, or one division, as I should say. And as for the Price division, the two teams from A that went down the most, the West Kildonan Wolverines and the John Taylor Pipers. Now, to be honest, just looking back at the standings from the past, John Taylor, seen them in the A division last season, I think that just speaks to how far this program has come. You know, usually in the past, I'd see them in the C div, maybe even the B div in the Winnipeg Free Press division, but never as much in terms of them going up to A div. So they go back to a div where this program historically has been familiar with playing in. And for John Taylor, they'll be looking to, of course, take advantage of a little bit less in terms of the skill that they faced last year heading into this year in the Price division, as this is the considered Division 3 in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. As for the West Kildonan Wolverines, usually seeing them in the top division, that's usually been a staple for this team, but they, of course, get knocked down a few notches. And yeah, once again, the factors playing into this is the skill level of the players coming into the team in terms of AAA, AA, you know, single A, the ages and things like that. So all of those factors kind of working against John Taylor and West K heading into this season to bump them down to the Price division. As for the teams that remain the same in this division, the Warren Wildcats, who ended up making it to the finals last season, losing to the eventual champion Louis Riel Voyageurs. Edward Schreier is going to make their return to this division, as well as Kildonan East, the College Lorette, or Lorette Collegiate Scorpions. They're going to be remaining in this div, along with Murdoch, McKay, Linden Christian the Wings, the Pinawa Panthers, the Windsor Park Royals, the Niverville Nighthawks, and there's also a newcomer in this year's division in the Lundar Kodiaks. They're going to be taking over the spot that's left by the Powerview / Sag King Wild, as they just didn't have enough players to field the team this season. And I believe the same goes for the Glenlawn Lions, as they are officially out of the league for this season. But there could still be a chance that, those teams come back next year. In total this season, there's going to be 37 teams competing in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, and really excited to see not only the quantity of talent that's out there with the many teams that we'll be covering this year, but as well as the skill from all 37 of these teams. As for the regular season, it's going to be starting up, I believe, on Wednesday. And spoiler alert, G-Show Productions, we'll be in Steinbach to cover the Steinbach Regional Sabres taking on the College Belleville Barracudas. Special and first ever game being called in this league for us. For myself, is going to be with my school that I went to. Went to high school at Belleville, so it's going to be really neat to be able to call them in action. And yeah, this is just how the first month looks for the Platinum Promotions division overall. We're going to have multiple games from this division featured throughout this month. Games to keep your eye on, I think. Vincent Massey taking on Shaftesbury, 2 champions from last season, on Wednesday, October 15th. In a great place like the Max Bell Center, too. Doesn't really get much better than that for an early season tilt. Then College Belleville taking on CJS, a huge rivalry, playing in front of, 2 passionate fan bases. College Belleville with some of the most rabid fans in the league, most passionate fans, and we'll be interested to see how many fans they draw in their home opener, which has historically been quite a bit. St. Paul's, they got some notable matchups on the schedule, taking on Oak Park, as well as Sturgeon Heights, all within the last weekend of October. And yeah, for St. Paul's, a team that, of course, weren't able to get their hands on a championship last season, and a team that historically has been, probably the most successful team in this division. How do they bounce back this season? When you talk about that team, it's a controversial opinion. It's either you love St. Paul's, or if you don't go to St. Paul's, bit of jealousy maybe. I know the fun thing used to be hating on St. Paul's as a high school student. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that program fares this season, how they fare against the best teams in that division, and seeing if they can get back to the top as they finish more so middle of the pack in A last year, off the top of my head, trying to remember. But as for the Winnipeg Free Press division, they're going to get going this Thursday. J.H. Bruns taking on College Pierre-Elliott Trudeau at Southdale Arena. CSLR taking on CPET on Thursday, October 16th. Going to be really interesting to see how Leo Remelard's going to fare this year, given that this team just went on a finals run last season. Of course, with Shaftesbury moving up a division, as well as, all top 4 teams pretty much from last year's Winnipeg Free Press division in Garden City, College Belleville, CAJS, and as well as Shaftesbury, as mentioned. Maybe that opens the door up a bit more for CSLR, but there's still going to be a lot of quality throughout this division. As mentioned, a lot of teams that are going to be challenging each other for the throne. As for Churchill, talked about them already, but they'll have a game against Springfield coming up October 30th, 4:30 p.m. to end off the month's action, along with CSLR taking on the J.H. Bruns Broncos, which that'll be interesting to see. J.H. Bruns taking on a strong B division team last year, J.H. Bruns, given that they were A division going down to B. As already mentioned, going to be interesting to see what they have in store this season. By the way, the schedule for this league, if you want to check it out for yourself, is on winnipeghshl.ca. If you want to check out the full standing stats and schedules for this upcoming season. But as for the Price Division, it's going to get going this Thursday, and we're also going to be doing that game against Linden Christian against Niverville in their home opener, both teams' season openers. Niverville takes on the newly acquired team in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League in the Price Division in the Lundar Kodiaks. That game is going to be in Niverville. Lundar, for the first few games for themselves, they'll be taking on teams on the road. Is actually really interesting. This usually doesn't happen in this league, but a rare evening game, 7:15 p.m. on the 16th between Linden Christian and Lundar at the Maples Multiplex, which, yeah, an anomaly in this league that usually never really happens unless it's tournament play and play it on the weekend. But yeah, something a bit new this year. Love to see that variety within the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. But as for Lundar, their home opener, just taking a look at the schedule, doesn't look like it's going to be happening during this month. Which, yeah, they'll be taking on teams on the road for their first month of this season. Of course, the defending champions from last year, Louis Riel, they're, of course, up to the Winnipeg Free Press Division. And as for last year's finalists in the Warren Wildcats, as they look to open up their season strong, they'll be taking on Kildonan East on the 21st, as they'll get things going there. As for the Price Division, just taking a look at the schedule, a lot less busy compared to the other two divisions to start off this month, as we just saw. But as for the other news that we got to talk about, as we've showed you the full schedules for the month of October for these three leagues. I'm going to come back with a result from College Jean Sauvé and Steinbach from this past weekend in Morris, Manitoba, and then we'll get to our broadcast schedule and take you through what we feel could be some of the games to look forward to the most for this upcoming month. I will say this, though, we got about 21 teams that'll be featured out of the 37 on our network to start things off for this month in a new era of G-Show Productions game day live streaming. But first, we're going to send it to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, and I'll be back in just a moment for some final topics of conversation on this edition of Scholasticks. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. And welcome back to Scholasticks, the Winnipeg High School Hockey League podcast here on this edition of this official Winnipeg High School Hockey League podcast on this Monday afternoon, just before 5 o'clock right now. So we're late in the afternoon, and I guess it wasn't late into the weekend. Ended up happening on Saturday, but there was a high school hockey tournament happening, and I think this is great for the teams from this league in particular, in the WHSHL, to be able to go out and compete against teams from the Zone 4 High School Hockey League this past weekend. And for College Sauvé and the Steinbach Regional Sabres, well, in 2024-2025, they met in the final of this tournament. It was the same this season as these two teams rolled into the finals, hoping for, well, for Steinbach, back-to-back championship, and for CJS, some revenge. But it wasn't meant to be for College Sauvé. They dropped a close one in the Morris Tournament Championship game this past Saturday. You can check out the breakdown on CJS's Instagram account. The handle is, of course, on the screen there. But yeah, these two teams, it's just the start of that rivalry building this season, is they'll be taking each other on at some point this year in the Platinum Promotions Division regular season play. And as for us, well, how we're going to get things started is going to be in the Platinum Promotions Division with Steinbach, as they'll be taking on College Belleville. I haven't had a chance to design the full schedule yet, so decided to just screenshot an Excel document. Yeah, about 12 regular season games there. We, as promised, trying to balance it out between the divisions. The abbreviations, by the way, for the divisions: PP stands for Platinum Promotions, WFP for Winnipeg Free Press, and then PR for Price Division. And not only will you be getting about 12 games this month, you're going to be getting more than that, because we're going to be broadcasting this year's Sturgeon Heights Husky Classic, which will go from the 23rd to the 26th on G-Show Productions. Schedule should be out in the, I'm hoping in the next couple weeks at the latest for that. But we're going to start importing games on our Uscreen service. Games will be available by tomorrow. And yeah, of course, the money you spend, Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans, will all go back, well, not all of it, but a portion of it will go back to the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, as G-Show Productions and the WHSHL do have a revenue split in place for this year. So not only do you help us out here at G-Show Productions by supporting us monetarily, but you're going to also be supporting the Winnipeg High School Hockey League as well through this monetization. And I think that's a win-win for all of us, right? And a great win for us this month is just in terms of the quality we're going to see throughout these matchups. About 21 teams in total will be featured through these 12 games, and that's not even counting the Sturgeon Heights Husky Classic. Some teams will be featured a bit more than others throughout this year, but our goal is to feature all 37 teams at least once. In terms of the matchups I'm excited for and coming up this month, the opener, Steinbach versus Belleville, I believe it's going to be at the new rink in Steinbach, which that Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans, if you haven't seen it, I don't even think there's a debate. That's the nicest looking rink. Just from the pictures I've seen here in the province, a lot of money went into it. And yeah, just excited to finally be able to go there and see it. And the broadcast setup should be peak, I'm thinking. Other games to be excited about: River East Kodiaks and Garden City. River East, one of the top teams in the Platinum Promotions Division last season. Garden City, another strong season. This time in the Winnipeg Free Press Division, they go back up to the Platinum Promotions Division. Belleville CJS, as mentioned, classic rivalry, and given that that's College Belleville's home opener, it's going to be special for a few reasons. And then, yeah, just in terms of our final week of action, of course, before that, the Sturgeon Heights Husky Classic should be phenomenal. But CPET versus Churchill, St. Paul's versus Sturgeon Heights versus Shaftesbury, and Windsor Park versus Kildonan East should all bring a lot of excitement to the screen when those teams take the ice to play each other. Comment down below what your favorite matchup is. That's going to be coming up. We'll put it on the screen once again. But yeah, so happy to finally release this schedule, and it'll be fully released on our Instagram as well as on our websites coming up soon. The main place to watch it, though, Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans, if you want to catch these games live. And we're even going to archive them, so if you end up missing them and want to catch them, say, later on that evening, you didn't have a chance to tune in live, well, we'll have them archived. It'll still be behind a paywall, but you'll still be able to watch the game that way. We also have subscription options. We have single game options, WHL specific packages, all access packages. It's all available right now on gshowproductions.uscreen.io. And as for us, well, the journey for what's going to be both a long and short season, because there's quite a few games to be played, but before we know it, I'm sure we'll be at the start of playoffs, and then before we know it, we'll be at the end of the season. But the start of our journey is officially kicking off in this league for our game day content on Wednesday afternoon between the Sabres and the Barracudas, and what a special day that shall be. As for myself, Graham, the G Show Forsyth, I want to thank you, Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans, for tuning into this one and taking the time out of your day. Next edition of the Scholasticks podcast is coming to you this Friday, where we'll have highlights from our first few games of coverage. We'll take you through the schedule once again, as well as anything else happening from around the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. Details will be out on gshow.ca for that podcast coming out at the end of this week. On Friday, we'll have details a few days before probably that episode airs. Want to also thank Elite Prospects, Goaltenders, Terrico, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, and Movement Fitness and Performance for sponsoring another edition of this show. Soon, we're also going to have an intro and outro to this podcast, WHSHL fans. But until then, the next time we see you for game day on Wednesday, we hope you tune in and support those both teams and the High School Hockey League just in general with your contributions this year. We hope you tune in this Friday for an all-new edition of Scholasticks, which will be episode 5. And yeah, as we send things off here, I wish you all a wonderful week until we connect next time. Take care, everybody. It's Graham the G Show Forsyth giving you the peace out and waving so long on this Monday. By the way, MFHL podcast comes out next in about 10 minutes or so, as well as the Manitoba Hockey podcast tonight at 8. Take care.